I made one Sony SLR camera out of 2 scraps. Hello, welcome to my pastime. This is a non-tutorial video. I just want to share another experience with you. Perhaps this can be useful for you if you also want to repair a similar or the same camera as a hobbyist like me. The short story about this camera: about 10 years ago, I bought a second-hand Sony Alpha SLR a33 camera at eBay. The camera was working fine until the display broke, so I bought another broken camera but with a working display, for less money of course. I switched the displays and had one working fine camera. And in addition, I had spare parts lying around in case something gets broken again. The story could end here, but drama often happens twice. And I didn't need to wait for long for the drama. The same camera broke again with an error message on the screen saying, "Camera error. What should I expect from a 13-year-old camera?" So I Googled and found out that the shutter motor should be defective. Unfortunately, I couldn't use my spare part camera as it had the same error message when I bought it. Luckily, eBay offers a seller in China who still provides this spare part. So I decided to order 2 of them, just in case. 6 weeks later, the motor came and I decided to tear down the camera and fix it. As I reached the shutter mechanism part, I realized that the motor was slightly bigger than I ordered. I guess I ordered the wrong ones. They were too small. Since I'd already done a lot of work tearing down the camera, I decided to tear down the broken motor as well, to see what is wrong with the motor. It turned out that the brushes, 2 of them, were worn out. It didn't make any electrical contact anymore. I also tore down the spare part to get the brushes, and luckily the brushes were the same and fitted well. I replaced the brushes and tested the motor with a battery, and it worked fine. I assembled the camera back again and checked the error message. It was gone! Hooray! I was so happy, until I made some photo shootings. The error message appeared after every shot, and the images were all blown out as if the shutter did not close at the right time. My assumption was that perhaps the mainboard of the camera was somehow broken too. I decided to tear down both cameras, the spare and the broken, fixed, to exchange the mainboards. This is where this pastime video begins. First thing to say, you will not see any motion on this video, instead only a slideshow. I'll explain that after I tell you how I generally proceed with my teardown. In this video, I will share with you my steps on how I generally proceed with my repair or teardown, or let's say, I'm sharing my experience with you. Here is how I handle my teardown. Practically, I'm creating a kind of mind map or a waypoint. For every separated part, I will place the screws beside that part and place it on my desk. Mark it with a sticky note and write down step 1 and so on, or a hint, or I just keep it in mind. But in this case, it's not possible for me to keep it in my mind. There are too many parts. Better write something down on a sticky note. Why I'm doing this? I often had the case that I had a part and didn't know where and how to place it back, because I forgot. That's why I came to the idea of making pictures and setting a waypoint. So later at assembling, I always know or check on the pictures where the part needs to be. And I have the exact steps backward for the assembly. The pictures are also useful, for example, looking at very small parts. It's sometimes better from a zoomed picture than through a magnifying glass. Now back to the explanation. What you see as a slideshow is practically the pictures I took for my waypoint. It was primarily not intended for this YouTube video. Now back to my teardown and fix. How I made one Sony SLR camera out of 2 scrap. At first, the process took me the whole weekend. Why? Because I made a mistake at my first repair. I had torn down and assembled triple times just to find out that I made a mistake. So, what did I do wrong? I mixed up the electrical polarity of the motor at my first repair. The mainboard had nothing to do with it. Furthermore, due to the wrong polarity, the opposite rotation of the motor destroyed the teeth of a gear. As they say in Germany, broken repaired, But the teardown of the spare camera wasn't a waste of time after all. At least I could take the gear from the spare camera and replace the broken gear with this one. After I assembled the camera, finally, the camera was working fine again. This time, I'm really happy. What you see here is the sequence that I took off from first to last. From left to right is practically the first to the last which I took off. I've thrown away all the sticky notes and replaced them with notes on the picture, and ordered the screws in a pillbox. Here is the slideshow. These are the pictures I took while I was tearing down the camera.